pumpkins here. They got beat up a little bit, but they're coming back. Sometimes it takes things a little bit to adjust. The summer is kind of harder on a lot of plants. The ones that do the best in the summer is the watermelon. Actually, we have a lot that actually sprouted because of these. They actually were just sitting there. Like a lot of these right over here. Here's some pumpkins that not some pumpkins, some watermelons that I planted, and they started sprouting when it got hot. And they just really enjoy the watermelons. As long as you get them watered, 110, 115, they're just loving life. As long as they get that little drink, they're good to go. I mean, probably I water them probably about every day now that's really, really hot. But they just do really well. They don't really well. They're just fine in the heat, no problem. Now, another thing that I was really surprised with is all my cactus on the other side of the fence over here, all that prickly pear, those bad boys, they all rooted. Like a lot of them got, well, two of them got washed up. And those were in an area that I didn't even water, and they already started sprouting small roots on the back. So all the cactus is now rooted. Now some of them get a little bit of water as I like water these plants and trees. So what is a homestead? What am I doing out here? Well, a homestead is a system of systems. Okay, so you're off grid. You're off the, let's say, the electrical grid, or you're off the public water, and you have to figure out those systems, create those systems, and maintain those systems. Now, it's a big upfront cost usually. Solar or buying a water tank, and then after that, after you start maintaining it, it becomes cheaper. And then you are in charge of maintaining those systems. And that's basically what off grid is. It is for me. Is you are in charge of those things. Now, right now, the water bill is about $130 a month, which honestly is not that bad for having a large garden and a family of six. Now, I need a couple more solar panels. I'm probably about somewhere between about $100 a month for my electric, which is not bad, especially nowadays for electric bill. So total, I'm about, I don't know, $250 a month is my entire bill, which pretty much almost nothing nowadays. So the story behind the cactus, okay? All these cactus I planted. I was frustrated. I was out of water, okay? So basically I was watering my plants like I'm doing now. I had no extra water. I really wanted more plants to grow. And I kept telling myself, well, I don't get any rain. The soil sucks. I can't do it. And I never did for a long time. My garden stayed the same size. Until one day, I just switched it up. And I started telling myself one morning, how can I? And then eventually, that problem was the solution. Well, low rainfall and this soil is perfect for cactus. And many countries around the world eat cactus. Well, the con is now the pro. Now, this is the blessing in disguise. The problem is the solution. And it all started with, well, the mindset. It all started with the words I was using. How can I? And eventually, I could. And it was that simple. That there. So basically, there's a pump behind me, and it pumps all that water out that pond all the way down to this other section down here. Oh, this is pretty cool. My sorghum is started to go to seed over here a little bit. Not well, flower, I guess. I guess you would call it flower over here. Look at that. These look like little flowers right here. The sorghum. Well, that's all pollen. That's pretty cool. One of them popped up. Starting to get the same thing going on with my corn down there too. Let's go check that out. Now, with this fig, I transplanted it and it had the worst transplant shock of any plant I've ever planted. It died down to a single leaf on top. I thought the thing was dead. I was over figs and I stopped watering it. Then it just rained real good. All that rain held here in the bowl, had a good drink, and it just bounced back. Honestly, I take back everything I said about figs. This thing is doing great. Honestly, considering getting a bunch more. This thing just bounced back. I water this thing rarely. I mean, we're talking once every few weeks, once every month even. Even in the summertime, loving life. It's doing great. This is a turkey fig. If anyone wants to get one, it does really well. Fine. All right, buddy. Relax, relax, relax. Come on, everybody. Still save a life. All right, bud. Look, this to happen, I need to calm down, little buddy. Okay? Just calm down. Calm down, little bud. It'll be okay. Calm down, calm down, calm down. Slow, slow, slow. They're pretty beautiful. They make a lot of beautiful sounds too. You ready, guys? Go. So that was pretty eventful. Almost felt like a wedding, didn't it? A lot of water going all the way around. Okay. Now I used to really soak this with my washing machine, and this year I'm just doing a lot less water. The problem I saw with that is, well, pro con is I'm not seeing as much fruit. I'm not seeing as much fruit on the peaches. I'm not seeing really any fruit on the pears. The grapes don't seem to care. They're just growing like a stinking weed. But these pomegranates, something else. Now, I'm getting a little bit of apples in here right now. So it's just trial and error. Let me see if I can't find my apple. Where are they at? Right here, as you can see, like an apple right there. See them? Right there. It's one of my first apples grown on this tree. It's pretty cool. But out here in the desert, if I was going to do this all over again for anybody, I would just go straight pomegranates. These pomegranates on the same amount of water, producing like mad, okay? Now, if these are the same amount of water, same amount of fertilizer, everything, between these pears, peaches, apples, pomegranates. If you're out in the desert, low amount of water you got, you don't want to put a lot of fertilizer, you want something that's really going to be hardy and maintained. Once these got established, okay, the first year was rough. It really took a little bit to get them back, get them healthy, get them watered in. But now, I mean, it's producing more than these other trees that are way older and way taller. And this, I trimmed this back to insanity. And look at that. Look at that. There's 4 of these right there. And there's 2 more right there. It just goes and goes with the pomegranate. I just can't get over how well it's doing. And it's just a little bit of water that I put with these. Now, I'm going to have to up the amount of water. Maybe, hopefully I can, next year do a better job and get these other trees really producing. But as far as this year goes, the one that's really producing for me and doing well is the pomegranates. I mean, as far as stuff I've actually done, I think I've almost got a watermelon as big as the grocery store, but I think I'm doing better and bigger quality pomegranates than even the grocery store right now. These aren't even all the way ripe, and we're already almost grocery store size. I just can't get over it. The pomegranates, if anyone's looking to get a tree, and you're in the desert, high desert, 110, down to the mid-20s, so I go almost 100 degrees swing, pomegranates do just fine. They go dormant in the winter, do just fine with a little bit of snow out here. In the summer, it's 110, 115 sometimes. Just do fine. Get a pomegranate. You're not going to regret it. Now, a rabbit almost took out this tree about a year or so ago, but this year we're actually starting to get some decent fruit hanging on in here, and we're doing well. This is semi-sweet lime. Citrus seems to do really, really, really well out here. I mean, this doesn't lose its leaves. It has its leaves all year round, and it does need a little more water. Some other things. You see how these leaves are starting to curl like this? It's just screaming at me right now. Hey, you know what? You're not doing your job. Water me a little bit more. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to give it a good little soak. Really let it fill up in here. But the citrus does really, really, really well. Yeah. I've had this thing do just fine in the heat. It really can handle the heat. What it doesn't like is really drying out. But even then, I've neglected watering a little bit. It's still hung on for me. So right now we're going to get that guy a deep little soak. Now, here we have my mandarin I put inside here. Now, I've never had good luck with these cucumbers out here. They always these plants don't really handle the heat. But it is a nice little mulch around the bottom here to really actually be able to reflect some of that sun, but didn't work out the way I wanted to. So out here in the desert, the first thing I understood is if you just planted something, okay, you're going to get a whole bunch of sheet flow, okay? A whole bunch of sheet flow. And then the second problem you're going to have is, see that? Still dry. Right down to maybe just a 1/4 inch. That's it. Doesn't penetrate at all either. So what you need to do, as I planted this pomegranate, is take all of the native soil, make a ring, okay? Everything in is some good potting soil, whatever you can get, doesn't matter, as long as the water will just penetrate through. And that way, it's able to hold all that water when you're watering it, and it's able to stay in one spot and actually drink. Because you can see all that water just going down in there. See it? It's gone. It just goes inside. And that's for this pomegranate to really drink and prosper out here. A lot of times, things die and things don't really grow out here. Everything just goes on a sheet flow. Everything just flows over top of the land, goes right to a wash, goes right out to the Colorado. And most things just die. They just don't get enough water. Even when we have this monsoon rain, last monsoon rain, I mean, massive flooding out here. It was 30 minutes, and most things out here didn't get the water they needed, and I had to actually water that day. That much water. It's crazy. What's crazy is all of these little bits right here, all these little guys down here. Now, these are all little watermelons that I planted months ago, okay? It was really, really hot in the spring for about a week, and a lot of things, they popped up for me. A lot of these guys, they popped up and did really well. But then, nothing happened for months. And it took about 3 months, and then all of a sudden, now it's hot summer again, the watermelon sprouted again. So, basically what I'm saying is, watermelons love heat to germinate. And if you want them to germinate, it has to be hot. Otherwise, you're not really going to see a lot of success. There you go. Like chewing back your dust without very little. buddy. We'll get you short something. So here we have all my tomatoes I have in a line going on the corner here. We are at the beginning of summer. They have been here for a few months. They're not as big as I would like. I noticed with the heat and the amount of fertilizer I get, usually I start really getting a big plant and a big harvest closer to fall. And we still have a little bit of time here to let these guys grow, start to establish. Now, I planted a lot of seeds in here. I planted real heavy and real tight. And this is about what's left and what's started off. But all in all, not bad success. I mean, some are a little struggling at times. We are getting a little bit of shade, as you can see. With this, you can see the line of shade with the wire mesh right here. Shades these a little bit, so it helps a little. I think the next major upgrade is I think I'm just gonna put maybe a fence on the other side here to kind of block it. You see my shadow? If I had a fence on the other side pretty close, maybe it would block for a good amount, probably a couple feet in, block that section over there, block this in the evening. Really just, if I put like a U of a fence around here, to really block this in and get some more shade. I noticed things in the shade, like if you go over here, this is all like sweet corn right here, and it's actually doing okay, especially here with my lemongrass is growing in between it. That's this right here. And the only sweet corn that's survived doing well. Right now it's 10 o'clock. It's had 3-4 hours of shade, and that's the only thing that's doing well out here. I think the number one thing that's going to have a successful garden is shade. And then if I have myself a fence up here, it can also help block a lot of that wind. It gets really, really windy, and that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to add a little bit of a gap in the boards, and I'm going to put a fence going all the way around and try and get some real shade to all of this stuff. Now, if you notice, it's kind of later on in the day, kind of had a late start, so I'm not really spraying these traditionally. What I'm doing is I'm letting it pool across the bottom and just travel. Just really trying not to let the leaves get wet. So what I don't want to do is just fry it all from watering with the sun. Here we have my cantaloupe. Now, you notice I planted them in really tight. And what this is helping me do is shading all the bottom here. So it's naturally coming in to kind of make a shade across itself, across the top here. So it's really tight, shading in all that moisture. These right here are some mini gourds I planted in the middle. This spot was kind of light, so I planted these guys in here. And we're seeing some success on this too. These are starting to sprout up a little bit and do okay. And it goes again, back to some cantaloupes going all the way down. Now these right here are getting to the point where they're just starting to flower. It's probably going to be another month or two before I really start seeing some fruit develop. And then midsummer, all the way through till the end of fall, it'll just be fruit constantly. This one here, you can see it pollinated. That was going to turn to a fruit right here. We're already getting a small little cantaloupe right there. Good deal. Already. Right here. Right there's another one. These cantaloupes always do the best for me. See right here? Right there? See him? This guy. Right there. Right there. 1, 2. This is the some sweet corn I have growing here. This is another little experiment I did. Now it does pretty well, these three over here on this side. I'm pretty sure they're doing pretty well because it is mulched. I mean, with this Sonoran wheat went down, and what it did is it kind of mulched everything out just a little bit, and it was able to cover these up. So the consensus I have is sweet corn is possible to grow out here, but it's just not as strong with just the drought as the blue corn or the um, gem glass corn, basically the flint corn or Indian corn, as they're called. Here are my sweet taters. They're sweet potatoes. They're doing okay. They're getting there. We're really starting to get some real growth in this. This is really starting to go really well from that one potato in there. You can see just so many little sprouts off of that, and it just keeps on sprouting. Now, what I've noticed, I've planted a whole grip of different types of squash, and the one that does the best is these yellow long neck squash right here. These are the ones that so far that are really coming in and doing the best out of all of the squash that I've planted. This right here is a whole line of it, and as you can see, it kind of bunches up. It kind of covers itself. This has a little bit, just a little bit of shade, and you can see it's really doing amazing compared to some of the others that are already starting to wilt over here. You can tell that I need a little more shade, especially in this area over here. This area over here, it's all about shade out here. Even with people, even myself, just want to just kind of go over here just to kind of get out of it. Because at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're already at 100 degrees right now. So this is my gem glass corn. This would be the male flower here. Just kind of knocks off pollen and goes onto the female flower. I only have one right now flowering like this, so it's not going to do much like that. But hopefully I get a few more of these all flowering up at the same time to get myself some corn here this year. But that's pretty cool. That in and of itself is success. I grew something, and out here in the desert, it's about as easy as it looks. It's pretty hard to get things to want to survive in this heat. But if you really have the mind for it, and you really have the mindset, and you really just keep going for it, you can have success out here and have a wonderful garden in the summer or the winter. Like, comment, subscribe.